Welcome, poetry lovers and supporters. George Mason High School English Department is very pleased that we are about to participate in our 6th annual Poetry Out Loud recitation event. Why read poetry, you may ask? Well, poetry takes us out of ourselves and makes us think. It's thought that poetry originated in agrarian societies, arising from a type of chanting about good harvests. As an oral form, it began as storytelling, passing on ideas people had learned. Later, mnemonic devices made memorization easier, and through time, other literary devices made for more sophisticated, effectual, and delightful expression. Through time, poetry has evolved to include a broad spectrum, conveying the most magnificent emotion or making vivid the tiniest idea to readers' or listeners' minds and ears. Shortened lighter verses surround us every day in accessible, popular advertisements, birthday cards, limericks, and song lyrics. Yet, if we are seeking profound meaning, the study of poetry is the place to go. Poetry is an extremely powerful enterprise. It can give us new ideas. There have been poets who have rallied entire nations, soldier and civilian, through times of war and peace. As students of poetry, we are exposed to the many themes of life, death, despair, truth, justice, love, hope. And if we are willing to spend just a little bit more time, as we would for anything of high quality or value, original ways to see the world from new perspectives may be revealed. A wide range of human experience is cataloged in poetry, both modern and ancient. So it is through poetry that we discover ourselves. Some poems are complex, extended considerations of ideas, and as such, they stand against other expressive media that are not so complex or extended. And it doesn't really matter if we hear poems online or read them on a phone or via another form of technology. What does matter is that we get the intellectual workout that comes from following the sustained development of a poet's line of thinking. Skilled poetry shows us glimpses of writing at its highest quality, or offers insights to great beauty, or to powerful emotional intensity or sincerity. And it often provides profound insight. As humans, we will always be intrigued by poetry. American poet Amy Lowell in 1930 said that poetry is the textbook to the heart of man, and that poetry is at once the most intimate and the most enduring of the arts. Since poetry involves listening as well as appreciation, this means that we, as the audience, get to participate in this process. For our part today, we intend to provide these valiant students with the best environment for success in their recitations. We enthusiastically support and encourage their exceptional efforts. Here's how the program will work. There will be 2 rounds of recitation. Each student will introduce himself or herself and announce the title of the poem for each of the 2 rounds. Meanwhile, the judges will be assessing in the categories of physical presence, voice and articulation, dramatics, level of difficulty, evidence of understanding, and overall performance. The audience's job is to give each contestant the best advantage. So we ask that you hold your applause until each one has stepped back away from the microphone, which signals the conclusion of the performance. We wish each of you the best.
Hello, my name is Andrea Delau, and I will be reciting A History Without Suffering by E.A. Markham. In this poem, there is no suffering. It spans hundreds of years and records no deaths, connecting, when it can, those moments where people are healthy and happy, content to be alive. A chapter, maybe a volume, shorn of violence, consists of an adult reading aimlessly. This line is the length of a full life, smuggled in while no one was plotting against a neighbor, except in jest. Then, after a gap, comes Nellie. She's in a drought-fisted field with a hoe. This is her 12th year on the land, and today her back doesn't hurt. Catechisms of self-pity and of murder have declared a day's truce in the civil war within her. So today, we can bring Nellie, content with herself, with the world, into our history for a day. In the next generation, we find a suitable subject camping near the border of a divided country. For a while, no one knows how near. For these few lines, she is ours. But how about the lovers, you ask, the freshly washed body close to yours? Sounds, smells, tastes, anticipation of the young, the edited memory of the rest of us. How about thoughts higher than their thinkers? Yes, yes. Give them half a line and a mass of footnotes. They have their own privileged history, like inherited income beside our husbandry. We bring our history up to date in a city like London. Someone's just paid the mortgage, is free of guilt, and not dying of cancer. And going past the newsstand doesn't see a headline advertising torture. This is all recommended reading, but in small doses. It shows you can avoid suffering if you try. Thank you.
My name is Annie Parnell, and I will be reciting More Lies by Karen Gottshall. Sometimes I say I'm going to meet my sister in the cafe, even though I have no sister, just because it's such a beautiful thing to say. I've always thought so ever since I read a novel in which two sisters were constantly meeting in cafes. Today, for example, I walked alone on the wet sidewalk, wearing my rain boots, expecting someone might ask where I was heading. I carried a steno pad and a watch battery, the store windows fogged up. Rain in April is a kind of promise, and it costs nothing. I carried a bag of books into the cafe and ordered tea. I like a place that's lit by lamps. I like a place where you can hear people talk about small things, the differences between azure and cerulean, the price of tulips. It's going down. I watched someone who could be my sister walk in, shaking the rain from her hair. I thought, all over the city, even now, florists are filling their coolers with tulips, $5 a bundle. And all over the city, there are sisters, and any one of them could be mine.
My name is Gwyneth Pash, and I will be reciting Four Glimpses of Night by Frank Marshall Davis. Eagerly, like a woman hurrying to her lover, night comes to the room of the world and lies, yielding and content, against the cool, round face of the moon. Night is a curious child, wandering between earth and sky, creeping between windows and doors, daubing the entire neighborhood with purple paint. Day is an apologetic mother, cloth in hand, following after. Peddling from door to door, night sells black bags of peppermint stars, heaping cones of vanilla moon, until his wares are gone, then shuffles homeward, jingling the gray coins of daybreak. Night's brittle song, silver thin, shatters into a billion fragments of quiet shadows at the blaring jazz of the morning sun.
My name is Yoshka Gall, and I'll be reciting Alone by Edgar Allan Poe. From childhood's hour I have not been as others were. I have not seen as others saw. I could not bring my passions from a common spring. From the same source I have not taken my sorrows. I could not awaken my heart to joy at the same tone. And all I loved alone. Then, in my childhood, in the dawn of a most stormy life, was drawn from every depth of good and ill, the mystery which binds me still. From the torrent or the fountain, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sun that round me rolled in its autumn tint of gold. In the lightning of the sky, as it passed me flying by, from the thunder and the storm, and the light that took the form, when rest of heaven was blue, of a demon in my view.
Hello, my name is Jarman Taylor, and my poem is Richard Cory by Edwin Arlington Robinson. Whenever Richard Cory went downtown, we people on the pavement looked at him. He was a gentleman from sole to crown, clean-favored and imperially slim, and he was always quietly arrayed, and he was always human when he talked. But still, he fluttered pulses when he said, "Good morning," and he glittered then when he walked. And he was rich, yes, richer than a king, and admirably schooled in every grace. In fine, we thought he was everything, to make us wish that we were in his place. So on we worked and waited for the light, and went without the meat and cursed the bread. And Richard Cory, one calm summer night, went home and put a bullet in his head, through his head.
My name is Noah Hain, and I will be reciting Ozymandias by Percy Shelley. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read which yet survive. Stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them, and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair." Nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck. Boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away.
My name is Lily Constance, and I will be reciting The Canonization by John Donne. For God's sake, hold your tongue and let me love, or chide my palsy, or my gout, my 5 gray hairs, or ruined fortune flout. With wealth your state, your mind with arts improve. Take you a course, get you a place. Observe his honor or his grace, or the king's reel or his stamped face. Contemplate what you will, approve, so you will let me love. Alas, alas, who's injured by my love? What merchant ships have my sighs drowned? Who says my tears have overflowed his ground? When did my colds a forward spring remove? When did the heats which my veins fill add one more to the plaguy bill? Soldiers find wars, and lawyers find out still litigious men which quarrels move, though she and I do love. Call us what you will, we are made such by love. Call her one, me another fly, we're tapers too, and at our own cost die. And we and us find the eagle and the dove. The phoenix riddle hath more wit by us. We two being one are it. And so to one neutral thing both sexes fit. We die and rise the same and prove mysterious by this love. We can die by it if not live by love. And if unfit for tombs and hearse our legend be, it will be fit for verse. And if no piece of chronicle we prove, we'll build in sonnets pretty rooms. As well a well-wrought urn becomes the greatest ashes, as half-acre tombs, and by these hymns all shall approve us canonized for love, and thus invoke us. You whom reverend love made one another's hermitage, you to whom love was peace that now is rage, who did the whole world's soul contract and drove into the glasses of your eyes, so made such mirrors and such spies that they did all to you epitomize. Countries, towns, courts beg from above a pattern of your love. Thank you.
My name is Eleanor McLean, and I'll be reciting Monet Refuses the Operation by Liesl Mueller. Doctor, you say there are no halos around the streetlights in Paris. And what I see is an aberration caused by old age, an affliction. I tell you, it has taken me all my life to arrive at the vision of gas lamps as angels, to soften and blur and finally banish the edges you regret I don't see, to learn that the line I called the horizon does not exist in sky and water, so long apart, are the same state of being. 54 years before, I could see ruined cathedral is built of parallel shafts of sun, and now you want to restore my youthful errors, fixed notions of top and bottom, the illusion of three-dimensional space, wisteria, separate from the bridge it covers. What can I say to convince you the Houses of Parliament dissolve night after night to become a fluid dream of the Thames? I will not return to a universe of objects that don't know each other, as if islands were not the lost children of one great continent. The world is flux, and light becomes what it touches, becomes water. Lilies on water, above and below water, becomes lilac and mauve and yellow and white and cerulean lamps, small fists passing sunlight so quickly to one another that it would take long, streaming hair inside my brush to catch it, to paint the speed of light. Our weighted shapes, these verticals, burn to mix with air and change our bones, skin, clothes to gases. Doctor, if only you could see how heaven pulls earth into its arms, and how, infinitely, the heart expands to claim this world, blue vapor, without end.
My name is Megan Leach, and I will be reciting Abandoned Farmhouse by Ted Kooser. He was a big man, says the size of his shoes, on a pile of broken dishes by the house. A tall man, too, so the length of a bed in an upstairs room. And a good God-fearing man, says the Bible, with a broken back on the floor below the window, dusty with sun. But not a man for farming, say the fields clutter with boulders and the leaky barn. A woman lived with him, say the bedroom walls paper with lilacs and the kitchen shelves covered with oilcloth. And they had a child, says the sandbox made from a tractor tire. Money was scarce, say the jars of plum preserves and canned tomatoes, sealed in the cellar hole. And the winter's cold, say the rags in the window frames. It was lonely here, says the narrow country road. Something went wrong, says the empty house and the weed-choked yard. Stones in the field, say he was not a farmer. Jars sealed in the cellar hole, say she left in a nervous haste. And the child? Its toys strewn in the yard like branches after a storm. A rubber tractor, a rusty tractor with a broken plow. It's all with overalls. Something went wrong, they say.
While our judges tabulate scores from the first round, we would like to take some time to invite two of our winners from the 8th grade competition at Mary Ellen Henderson to recite their poems for us. So please make them feel welcome.
My name is Isabella Ashton, and I'll be reciting I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died by Emily Dickinson. I heard a fly buzz when I died. The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air, between the heaves of storm. The eyes around had wrung them dry, and breaths were gathering firm for that last onset when the king be witnessed in the room. I willed my keepsakes, signed away what portion of me be assignable, and then it was, there, interposed, a fly, with blue, stumbling buzz, blue, uncertain, stumbling buzz between the light and me. And then the windows failed, and then I could not see to see.
Hi, my name is Angela Delau, and I'll be reciting Ways of Talking by Ha-Jin. We used to like talking about grief. Our journals and letters were packed with losses, complaints, and sorrows. Even if there was no grief, we wouldn't stop lamenting, as though longing for the charm of a distressed face. Then, we couldn't help expressing grief. So many things descended without warning. Labor wasted, loves lost, houses gone, marriages broken, friends estranged, ambitions worn away by immediate needs. Words lined up in our throats for a good whining. Grief seemed like an endless river, the only immortal flow of life. After losing a land and then giving up a tongue, we stopped talking of grief. Smiles began to brighten our faces. We laugh a lot at our own mess. Things become beautiful, even hailstones in the strawberry fields. This is It Isn't Me by James Lasdon. It isn't me, he'd say, stepping out of a landscape that offered, he thought, the backdrop to a plausible existence, until he entered it. It's just not me, he'd murmur, walking away. It's not quite me, he'd explain, apologetic but firm, leaving some job they'd found him. They found him others. He'd go, smiling his smile, putting his best foot forward, till again he'd find himself reluctantly concluding that this too wasn't him. He wanted to get married, make a home, unfold a life among his neighbors' lives, branching and blossoming like a tree. But when it came to it, it isn't me was all he seemed to learn from all his diligent forays outward. And why it should be so hard for someone not so different from themselves to find what they'd found, barely even seeking, what gift he'd not been given, what charm of his they'd had the luck to lack, puzzled them, though not unduly. They lived inside their lives so fully they couldn't, in the end, believe in him, except as some half-legendary figure, destined or doomed to carry on his back the weight of their own all but weightless stray doubts and discomforts. Only sometimes, alone in offices or living rooms, they'd hear that phrase again. It isn't me, and wonder briefly what they were and where, and feel the strangeness of being there. Thank you.
The Daring One by Edwin Markham. I would my soul were like the bird that dares the vastness undeterred. Look how the bluebird, even now, breaks into rapture on the bough. He sings tip-top the tossing elm as though he would a world o'erwhelm. Indifferent to the void, he rides upon the wind's eternal tides. He tosses gladly on the gale, for well he knows he cannot fail. Knows if the bough breaks, still his wings will bear him upward while he sings. Thank you.
Uh, I will be reciting Alone by Edgar Allan Poe. From childhood's hour I have not been as others were. I have not seen as others saw. I could not bring my passions from a common spring. From the same source I have not taken my sorrow. I could not awaken my heart to the joy at the same tone. For all I loved alone. Then, in my childhood, at the dawn of a most stormy life, was drawn from every depth of good and ill, the mystery which binds me still, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the torrent or the fountain, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sun that round me rolled in its autumn tint of gold, from the lightning in the sky as it passed me flying by, from the thunder and the storm and the cloud that took its form, when the rest of heaven was blue, of a demon in my view.
I'll be reciting I Too by Langston Hughes. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and grow strong and eat well. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America.
I will be reciting Les Belles Dames sans Merci, a ballad by John Keats. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, alone and palely loitering? The sedge has withered from the lake, and no birds sing. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms? So haggard and so woe-begone. The squirrel's granary is full, and the harvest done. I see a lily on thy brow, with anguish moist and fevered dew, and I see, and on thy cheeks a faded rose fast withereth too. I met a lady in the meads, full beautiful, a faery's child. Her hair was long, her foot was light, and her eyes were wild. I made a garland for her head, and bracelets too. And fragrant zone. She looked at me as she did love and made sweet moan. I set her on my pacing steed, and nothing else saw all day long. For sidelong did she bend and sing a fairy song. She found me roots of relish sweet, honey wild, and manadu, and sure in language strange she said, I love thee true. She took me to her elfin grot, and there she wept and sighed full sore. And there I shut her wild, wild eyes with kisses four. And there she lulled me to sleep, and dreamt, and the latest dream I dreamt. Ah, woe, prompt. Oh, woe betide. Oh, woe betide, the latest dream I dreamt on the cold hillside. I saw pale kings and princes too, pale warriors, deathly pale were they all. They cried, La belle dame sans merci, thee hath in thrall. I saw their starved lips in the gloam, and with horrid warning gaped wide. And I awoke and found me on the cold hillside. And this is why I sojourn here, alone and palely loiterous, though the sedge is withered from the lake, and no birds sing.
I'll be reciting Cartoon Physics Part 1 by Nick Flynn. Children under, say, 10 shouldn't know that the universe is ever expanding, inexorably pushing into the vacuum. Galaxies swallowed by galaxies, whole solar systems collapsing. All of it acted out in silence. At 10, we're still learning the rules of cartoon animation, that if a man draws a door on a rock, only he can pass through it. Anyone else who tries will crash into the rock. 10-year-olds should stick with burning houses, car wrecks, ships going down, earthbound, tangible disasters, arenas where they can be heroes. You can run back into a burning house. Sinking ships have lifeboats. The trucks will come with their ladders. If you jump, you will be saved. A child places her hand on the roof of a school bus and drives across a city of sand. She knows the exact spot it will skid, at which point the bridge will give. Who will swim to safety, and who will be pulled under by sharks? She will learn that if a man runs off the edge of a cliff, he will not fall until he notices his mistake.
Celebration for June 24th by Thomas McGrath for Marion. Before you, I was living on an island, and all around the seas of that lonely coast cast up their imitation jewels, cast their fables and enigmas, questioning, sly. I never solved them, or ever even heard, being perfect in innocence, unconscious of self. Such ignorance of history was all my wealth, a geographer sleeping in the shadow of virgins. But though my maps were made of private countries, I was a foreigner in all of them after you had come. For when you spoke, it was with a human tongue, and never understood by my landlocked gentry. Then did the sun shake down a million bells, and birds bloom on bough in wildest song. Phlegmatic hills went shivering with flame. The chestnut trees were manic at their deepest bowls. It is little strange that nature is riven in her frame at this second creation, known to every lover. How we are shaped and shape ourselves in the desires of the other, within the tolerance of human change. Out of the spring's innocence, this revolution, created on a kiss, announced the second season, the summer of private history, of growth, through whose sweet sessions the trees lift towards the sun, each leaf a revelation. Our bodies, coupled in the moonlight's album, proclaimed our love against the outlaw times, whose signature was written in the burning towns. Your face against the night was my medallion. Your coming forth heralded unlikely trumpets in the once tame heart. They heralded your worth, who are my lodestar, my bright and ultimate north, marrying all points of my personal compass. This is the love that now invents my fear, which nuzzles me like a puppy each violent day. It is poor comfort that the mind comes saying, what is one slim girl to the people's wars? Still, my dice are loaded, having had such luck. Having your love, my life would still be whole, though I should die tomorrow. I have lived it all. And love is never love that cannot give love up. Thank you.
Now I'll be reciting To Autumn by John Keats. Season of mists and mellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him, how to load and bless with fruit the vines that round the thatch eaves run. To bend with apples the mossed cottage trees, and fill all fruit with ripeness to the core. To swell the gourd and plump the hazel shells with a sweet kernel. To set budding more and still more later flowers for the bees, until they think warm days will never cease, for summer has o'erbrimmed their clammy cells. Who hath not seen thee oft amid thy store? Sometimes, whoever seeks abroad may find thee sitting careless on a granary floor, thy hair soft lifted by the winnowing wind, or on a half-reaped furrow, sound asleep, dazed with the fume of poppies, while thy hook spares the next swath and all its twined flowers. Or sometimes, like a gleaner, thou dost keep steady thy laden head across a brook, or by a cider press, with patient look, thou watchest the last gleanings, last oozings, hour by hour. Where are the songs of spring? Where are they? Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too. While barred clouds bloom the soft dying day, and touch the stubble plains with rosy hue, then, in a wailful chorus, the small gnats mourn among the river sallows. Borne aloft or sinking, as the light wind lives or dies. And full-grown lambs loud bleat in hilly bourne. Hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft the redbreast whistles from a garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the skies.
I'll be reciting Love Song by Dorothy Parker. My own dear love, he is strong and bold, and he cares not what comes after. His words ring sweet as a chime of gold, and his eyes are lit with laughter. He is jubilant as a flag unfurled. Oh, the girl, she'd not forget him. My own dear love, he is all my world, and I wish somebody'd shoot him. My love, he's mad, and my love, he's fleet, and a wild young wood thing bore him. The ways are fair to his roaming feet, and the skies are sunlit for him. As sharply sweet to my heart he seems as the fragrance of acacia. My own dear love, he is all my dreams, and I wish he were in Asia. My love runs by like a day in June, and he makes no friends with sorrows. He'll tread his galloping rigadoon in the pathway of the morrows. He'll live his days where the sunbeams start, nor could storm or wind uproot him. My own dear love, he is all my heart, and I wish somebody'd shoot him.
get one more round of applause for the terrific readers. We have a streamer. This is Arjit Sen Sharma, and he will be singing Georgia on My Mind.
Georgia, Georgia, the whole night through. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. Georgia, Georgia, a song of you comes as sweet and clear as moonlight through the pine. Other arms reach out to me, other eyes smile tenderly. Still in peaceful dreams I see the road leads back to you. Georgia, Georgia, no peace I find. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. Other arms reach out to me, other eyes smile tenderly. Still in peaceful dreams I see the road leads back to you. Georgia, Georgia, no peace I find. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. Keeps Georgia, Georgia on my mind.
Our next piece is Big Noise from Winnetka, back from the 1920s. It will feature Justin Traynor and Arjit Sen Sharma on trumpet and Claire Schmidt on trombone.
to all of the students who memorized and recited poetry in their classrooms. The students you see on stage today are representatives for their grade level and have done an outstanding job today making poetry come alive. Additionally, thank you to Mr. Ballou and the sound crew, as well as to Ms. West and the jazz ensemble. I would also like to thank the members of the English department who put in many hours to make this assembly run smoothly. You can clap them too. And finally, a thank you to our judges, Mr. Healy, Mr. McNew, Ms. Bracken, Ms. Schumann, and Ms. Barris, who took time out of their busy day for poetry. We are very grateful for your support and participation today. And now, the results. The winner and the runner-up will both receive prizes generously donated by One More Page, an independent bookshop located in Falls Church. The runner-up will be our alternate for the regional competition in the event that our winner cannot attend. The runner-up today is Andrea DeLau. The winner of today's competition will compete in the regional competition, which will be held at the Signature Theater in Arlington, Virginia, in February of 2014. Congratulations to Lily Constance. Thanks again to all for attending and supporting our students, and you guys may return to class now. Competitors, please remain on the stage for a quick photo.